Welcome to the Manifesting Clarity Podcast, the show that empowers you to unlock your full potential and create the life you've always dreamed of. I'm your host, Jen Roth, and I am beyond grateful to be here with you today. Welcome and welcome back. So excited to be here with you. This is evolving and shifting and changing. Today, every week, I have such gratitude and joy in my heart. And today is very different than a lot of the conversations that we have had for numerous reasons. One being, I have the honor of speaking with and bringing to you, all of you amazing listeners, one of our U.S. Army soldiers. And I had two very, very, very dear friends who were in the Marines when I was graduated from high school, going to college. And I spent some time on the Marine base in 29 Palms, California. Some of you who have been listening for a while may have heard bits and pieces of this. And these are two men who really touched my heart growing up in profound ways. And so my gratitude for you today, Benjamin, is just, there are not words. There are not words for my gratitude for what you've done for me personally and what you've done for our country and what you've done for so many other lives. So the topic that we get to bring to you today and the conversation that we're going to have is going to be so unique and dynamic. I'm like jumping out of my skin ready for this. So I am going to, without any further ado, go ahead and have you describe and explain who you are. I know just a smidge about what is happening in your world. So switching your career from U.S. Army soldier to government contractor and now relationship coach. You were deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, working for the government, and have a bachelor's in business management, speaking both Spanish, English, and intermediate German. Now living in Germany, so coming to us from Germany, which is really fun and unique as well. You've written your own book on perfect soulmates. Love requires perfection. And I currently am at a place, I have been at a place for the last 17 years of my marriage and 20 plus years of having my spouse in my life. Every day I'm learning, every day I'm growing. Many of you who have listened for a while know that my marriage has been I will say, lovely challenge in my life and has allowed me to up level in ways that I never dreamt or imagined. And I've kind of done it the hard way, I feel like. And Benjamin, I sort of feel like you have like some massive keys to success here. And I've even recently, just this week, started listening to a relationship coach, I'll call him as well. Oh my goodness. Harville Henderson, I think is his name. It's not coming to mind as effortlessly as I thought it would, but I will look that up and bring that back into the field. So excited. Benjamin, I'm going to turn it over to you. Who are you? What are you up to in this world? I'm so excited to have a conversation today.
That's a stellar introduction. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. The Marines is far tougher than the Army, I would say. So I really admire that. I don't think I could go to the Marines. It really is the few and the proud. So a lot of respect for that. But yes, the Army came into my life at a low point because I just graduated from college back in 2005 after 4 straight years of college. And it was really hard. That's just the way my parents wanted it. And my parents didn't even want me to leave the household until age 22. And they were overprotective. Unfortunately, they got to a point where it got verbally abusive and everything. So I know what it's like to suffer, family abuse. Thankfully, not on the physical side. There's a few slaps and stuff. But just to make a long story short, I did have a really good upbringing, but it just went all south back then. So I was on my own. I was literally pretty much tossed out of the family, and so that's, I know it sounds really sad, but that's when I went to the States. I tried to make it work out as a martial artist with my friend, but we were just too poor to open up a dojo because I'm a martial artist who studies Taekwondo and Karate and Muay Thai kickboxing for almost 30 years now. So I decided to join the Army because the Air Force wasn't hiring because I came from an Air Force family. My father, retired Master Sergeant. My brother, my oldest brother, just recently retired as a colonel, full bird colonel. And my sister was a military police for about 4 years and got out. So I broke the chain with the Army, and boy, was it a life changer. It was, I wouldn't say traumatic, but very borderline because in reception, not even basic training, I was already regretting my decision when they shave your head, your hair, give you the dog tags and everything. It's very impactful, very depressing, and the closest thing to prison, I have to say, being honest. That's why I made my own documentary. It's a mini documentary on my YouTube channel, Perfect Soulmates 2023. I did a mini documentary it's called A Soldier's Life on my experience, and it's just a short documentary for anybody who wants to know my background and what I really think about the Army. Nothing extreme. It's just my unique experience. So yeah. Anyway, after 4.5 years deploying to Iraq and also Afghanistan as a contractor for another year because I still had some bills to pay. For instance, interest on my college loans, which the Army doesn't cover. They gave me a 22,000 sign-on bonus for 4 years, but they didn't cover the interest, so I had to go pay that off myself, and I was left in limbo, deciding what to do with my life. And so my soulmate, because we were pretty much already soulmates at the time, she dared me to write a book. And because I was talking so much about love and what I want to do with my life, and I never thought that becoming a relationships coach was on the menu for the rest of my life. I got so passionate about it. I took that she dared me to write a book. She says, "Well, you know so much about love. Why don't you just write a book, share it with the rest of the world?" And so I took her up on the challenge, and here we are. I decided to do an online video course of it turned out to be an hour because I'm also a content producer. Regular on YouTube. I used to make just funny videos, but now it's all serious on relationship topics. And so I ended up with 100 streams that you can watch for free, 75 hours worth on my YouTube channel. I'm very proud because I just recently finished that. It was a lot of work. People just have no idea what it's like to host a stream that's flawless, constant talking, but in a very relaxed manner, an exciting manner, passionate manner. And so you get a lot of criticism and even hatred online from all kinds of people who they don't like you because you sound successful, you are successful, you're doing something new and exciting that they wish they could be doing. So there's a lot of jealousy and envy, unfortunately, online. Offline, I meet like the most beautiful people. And Jen is one of the few online, I would say. I could already tell from a meeting that I listened to earlier, just very kind hearted and sounds really good spirited. And so I'm just excited to be here.
Congratulations, first off. And I also want to go back as well to, I mean, I really don't know squat. I don't know much at all about the different areas of all of the military. And I personally believe we're all divinely called right to where we're supposed to be. So thank you for choosing the Army. Thank you for doing that. And I don't know that there's one versus the other, even though I know in military in general, there's a lot of competition, right? Let's say that. So what I love is that the love is oozing through you. When did you know, and or what were the conversations that you were having with your soulmate at the time that allowed you to, so often our gifts are a natural part of who we are, right? We don't even realize that it's something special or specific to us because it feels so natural. So I would bet to guess that's semi-true for you in being able to write a book about soulmates and love and that sort of thing. But when did this start to percolate for you?
Yes, that's a really great question. I started out just like everybody else. We had our arguments, we had our fights, not physical, just verbal. And so, but we never gave up on each other in the beginning of our relationship. It seemed like an impossible relationship because we're so passionate. And then we just really sat back and realized I think it's because we both are leaders, and we're clashing so much about how the relationship should go. And so I call that the synchronization process. After 10 years, I always tell people, don't even think about the word soulmates unless you've been with each other at minimum 10 years. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that hurts your pride, your ego, but this is very serious. You're talking about spending the rest of your life with this person. You have to be obsessed. You have to be perfect. And unfortunately, we live in a self-defeatist world where people don't believe in perfection. They don't even believe in love. And they think it's something out of Disney. I'm saying, no, it's way better than Disney could ever portray in a cartoon or a fairy tale. For example, my favorite movie is The Princess Bride. I mean, there's a lot of passion in that movie, a lot of goofing off, but it's a classic story about love. That's why I have a series on my YouTube channel called Movie Reviews, because there's movies about love, and it's not just goofing around talking about a movie. There's scenes in there that you should take seriously because this could happen in your life. And so it happened back when I got back from Afghanistan. I just had this mental clarity develop, and I started getting philosophical because I've always been a wise guy. I will say that. I've always been a very keen observer of human behavior and life itself. And I just developed this natural logic, is what I call it. For example, history, politics, religion, science. I know we're not supposed to touch on that because it's so controversial, but this is the way I see it. I wasn't there back then, so I have the right to reserve what I choose to believe in and what I don't choose to believe in. And it's helped me. It's helped me develop this mindset where you're protective of being lied to by stories that people could make up to try to either hurt you or try to make them sound better than what they are. And, you just develop this level of wisdom and intelligence because being smart is book smart, but being intelligent is completely different. It's when you can see through things that normally people don't see through. And, as far as conspiracy theories, just listen to them. Don't write them off as stupid or ignorant because we all went to the same schools, and just listen to each other. So I come from a very open-minded beginning. And so writing the book, like I said, was a challenge during that time when I got back from Afghanistan as a contractor. And I said, I don't want to deploy again, even because, they're going to pay you six figures. And yeah, but you're going to get taxed a lot if you leave early, which is what I did twice. So I didn't get those six figures. And but what I'm trying to say is that it wasn't about the money because once I paid off my college interest in my car, I was like, okay, I think I'm done. I've been there 1 year in Iraq, 1 year in Afghanistan. I got the t-shirts, it's time to stop because I don't want to live with the fear of coming home in pieces or in a body bag, or in a wheelchair and live with that regret because I never really wanted to become a soldier. I felt like I was kind of forced to, as I always said, that the military is a backup and it was a poor economy, just like what happens to many. But then I developed a certain pride as a soldier when I was in. So, but yeah, just to kind of explain that area, I've always been, like I said, a keen observer of human behavior and life itself, and interested in positivity, the power of positivity, and having a powerful mindset because I don't believe mind, body, spirit. I believe spirit, mind, body, because your feelings dictate your thoughts, and your thoughts dictate your body's emotions, energy, and motion from within. So I think it's just like the synergistic process of this constant connection, and you have to be positive. You have to be optimistic. Otherwise, you're going to be what I call a loser. It's not an insult. You're missing out on what life could be. You're losing that opportunity by defeating yourself before you even try.
So fun. So fun. I feel like there's so much power in your question and statement and thought process of what if we all listen to each other? It's actually one of the most beautiful. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday who was saying, I hope I didn't put a lot of stuff on you yesterday. She was being incredibly vulnerable. She was being super open, and something that I naturally have attracted my entire life is many people feeling safe in my presence, many people saying that, oh my goodness, they just noticed or recognized. So I love your use of the words keen observer of life itself. I resonate with that so much as how I've shown up in this life. And it allows us to see things differently and to notice patterns and repetition and things that are out of alignment, things that are in alignment. How does that feel for us personally? So, a lot of this experience for myself has been people sharing. Maybe they say, oops, I overshared, or gosh, I've never shared this with someone. Earlier this week, I had someone whisper in my ear, like a little kid. It was so cute. She's like, do you want to know what I wanted to be when I grew up? When I was a kid? And I said, what? She said, an astronaut. And I haven't had time to go back to her, but it was just so precious to me, right? She allowed herself to go back to that moment in time and share with another person what one of her deepest desires and dreams were. So when we open our heart in that manner, which I believe is, it's so neat to hear what you have to say about soulmates and timelines and relationship, a minimum of 10 years. I think there's a lot to be said for that. There's been moments in time when I have thought, okay, I'm drawing the line in the sand in my relationship with myself first and not going to treat myself this way in this relationship anymore with my husband, with the courage to be able to possibly leave and or go do something different for myself that might be that felt like the scariest moments in time. And when I've had the courage to do that, all of a sudden, who I personally believe my husband and I are soulmates, he becomes or sees or hears things in a different light. And it allows for, I would say, I often say almost like the cracking of the shell for him, maybe emotionally, but for him to be able to open more and for another layer of our onion to get peeled back and for us to have more trust and compassion and kindness. And it was actually Harville Hendrix that I'm listening to this week who's saying, what if we remove judgment from our relationships, from our marriage, from the other person? Is something that I do in coaching is help educate people that we are judgmental and how learning how these what if statements of what would it look like if we were all listening to one another in the world, and what would it look like if we weren't judging one another, if we truly just heard the other person share their story, express themselves, and truly listened. So when I'm talking about some of these things, are there pieces in your book or your course or parts of that resonate with you? Or
Oh, absolutely. You nailed the right on the nail. I mean, I like your onion example because those are all the different layers of what I call the synchronicity process, knowing everything about your partner, and then you start learning about yourself. That's why I say minimum 10 years because there's a lot going on. There's so much that you should be learning, and that's why the majority of people they just fail because they're not learning. They think it's just okay, I take advantage of you, you take advantage of me, like friends with benefits. And it's just so wrong. It's so upside down. And then they're like, honey, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? Activity based. And it's going to end. If you base your relationship based on mere satisfaction without any deep fulfillment, meaning, and purpose, it's not going anywhere. And so that's why I preach perfection so much because online, it's nothing but drama and people love drama and that's just negative energy. I describe evil itself as just a ball of negative energy. Like stress literally kills people slowly. It's a slow killer or a quick killer. It could cause a heart attack and etc. or brain aneurysm, you name it. People just get so emotional in a negative way, all that negative energy they keep bottled up And that's why silence is weakness is one of my pet peeves. Speak up. You need to release that negative energy and convert it into something productive and stop destroying yourself with this self-defeatist attitude. And in my book and in my video course, I always preach eliminate all forms of negativity. So as you were explaining how Harville Henderson was saying, yes, I believe that all forms of negativity, because judgment is just one. There's envy, there's jealousy. I've had one of my viewers extremely jealous and envious of me and just making videos about me just because I made a few comments and I had to block him from my channel because he was being nasty. He was being disrespectful. And you have to just block him. You have to say, you know what? Well, here's my final opinion. Take it or leave it. But when they can't take it or leave it, then they want to retaliate. They want to engage in a conflict with you. And I'm just sitting back like, okay, you're only digging your hole deeper. So, but it's everywhere online. It's a zoo. It's a circus. It's a prison for the mind. Online, you got to be very careful these days because people are just addicted to negative energy through drama, and that's why I preach going against that. Don't hang around with the circus clowns. Hang around with people like such as Jen, such as myself, and others who are preaching positive lessons that you could learn from, and then you can go preach it yourself and help others. Because if we don't start doing this, humanity itself is going to fall on its own sword eventually. We're already in the process of doing so through ignorance and negative energy. All the negative emotions you can think of, they're all out there. And all this quietness and bitterness and this inner rage that people have, because when they're quiet, they don't want to leave a comment. They don't want to jump on like what I'm doing now. I'm jumping on your podcast eagerly, emotionally, powerfully. And it's just people don't have that. And so that's how they're suffering through life is they lack that life from within. It's dormant. And it's like they don't know what it feels like to bud and to grow and to really shine. They have nothing to shine for. And there's no fulfillment. So that's why I'm trying my best, but it's really difficult because you're asking a mostly immature crowd, no offense, because they're not passionate, the majority of the world. They're preoccupied with their stresses, which is highly understandable. But that's the point. You have to step out of that meaningless, repetitious world that you're in, that prison of a life through routine, senseless routine even. And it's just chaos. And it's on repeat. Your body and mind and emotions can only take so much before you're gonna break down. And hopefully you're not with somebody because you're going to take it out on them and take it out on the world, either online or offline. It's a big thing about the negative destructive energy that I preach, this self-defeatist attitude. It's highly toxic. I preach a warrior's mindset. I did a stream on that recently because you have to have a warrior's mentality, both your soulmate and yourself. You have to fight for righteous things, things that are passionate, that are based in love. And it's really hard to describe because people are like, yeah, whatever. That's the problem. They, they defeat themselves before they even try, as I said before. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I highly recommend if somebody is listening who maybe hasn't or isn't this deep into their journey, pick up Benjamin's book, go watch some courses, go watch somebody's courses. That every single chapter in our lives, we hear and see things differently. We're in a different lens, we're in a different perspective, we've had different experiences. And I can remember in moments of like, well, one, I'm an incredibly passionate person. I was introduced to Tony Robbins along the way. And so that made a huge impact. And I watched and listened to one of his programs called Crazy Making to Love Making. And it helps you understand the difference between how men's brains think and how women's brains think. I mean, it's like, there's so many statistics and so much information if you haven't started diving in. And if you have started diving in, there's still so much information and we're still hearing things through different lenses. So I highly recommend going over and checking Benjamin's information out because there's so much for us to work on this lifetime. One, removing negativity and catching ourselves. I would say that was huge for me in the beginning, is like figuring out when I'm negative and how to shift and change things. I was just having a conversation with the producer of this podcast this morning, and my amazing project manager, all things behind the scenes for my businesses, that asking myself the question, what would love do when I would be mad, when I would be frustrated, when I would be challenged in our relationship, would change so much for me. Love would walk across the room and give my husband a hug, even though I didn't want to. Love would give my husband a kiss. Love would look at my partner and my soulmate and see him for who he is. And hearing now Harville Hendricks this week, hearing you this week, I love that this is all coming into my world, of course. And the word that you're using and choosing is the synchronicity process. This is freaking makes me so excited about the life and the journey that I'm choosing. And it wasn't all that way, right? I had a lot of days in my life where I was questioning what I was supposed to be doing. I was questioning my marriage. I was questioning who I was. I was questioning what the heck all of this is for. And I stayed the course. I kept getting curious. I kept making the next best step. I kept asking questions. I kept filling myself with as much information as I possibly could. And I think it's interesting that you say there's a fair amount of negativity out there as we navigate things. One of the things I've observed, another mentor in my life, Rachel Hollis, I watched her. She wrote a book called Girl Wash Your Face. I'm not sure if you've read her information or seen anything on her and her husband, ex-husband, and actually he's passed away, which is wild. And so many people had different thoughts and feelings about what they were doing and how they were sharing it. And I've observed her on her social media channels now. She's removed, I don't know how you even do this, but she's removed the comments and you can only put hearts on there. And I love it because it just like other people's, this is what we call it, Benjamin, in clarity coaching, is unsolicited advice and opinions of other people. Well meaning, very well meaning. They are coming from where they think is a positive or a helpful place. But often we're getting unsolicited advice and opinions from other people. So, in this ability to create a force field with you and your partner so that both of you have this warrior mindset. I absolutely love that. My in-laws called it a united front, and so whatever resonates for you, what is it that brings that connection where you really get to build that bridge of trust and having each other's back and foundation and moving forward out in this world where it's not always for us.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know how people they kind of goof around with the term white knight. I'll proudly admit that I'm a white knight because protecting my soulmate is my priority, and she feels the same. If there's nothing, you know, a man truly admires a female warrior. I mean, not a controlling, manipulative attitude, not a bossy attitude, but a compassionate, passionate form of leadership that is all inclusive in the name of good, real good. I'm talking about, you know, when I say passion, it means being considerate, being mindful of not ignoring things that need to be fixed or addressed. For instance, the comment section, I encourage highly detailed comments, and even if they're non-solicited, as long as they're not negative and self-destructive, like make a comment that's productive, not destructive,
Yeah.
because anybody can destroy something. I always use the example of the tree. It's so powerful. The tree started as a small little seed and became a little twig. Anybody could have stepped on that tree or just grabbed it out of the dirt and just threw it away and just killed the tree. Anybody can do that. But can you do that to a tree that's fully grown? No, now you need a chainsaw, you need instruments, and it's a powerful tree, right? So we have to start from that point and develop our strength. And the tree can teach you so much because if you just allow it, nature to take its course, if you have positive intentions, because if you have negative intentions, you'll never grow. You're just going to be the same Joe Schmo you always were. and wisdom and intelligence is out the window. We have too many people like that, unfortunately. They're empty shells destined to be losers forever. Like I said, it's not an insult. It's just because they choose not to grow from within. And it's really sad. I think that's one of the saddest things, in fact, is when somebody refuses to grow because they fear becoming someone better than who they already are. They fear that it's almost like a video game. You fear the next level because you know it's going to be harder. No, you have to see it as you already beat this level. You need another challenge. You need to grow stronger and smarter. And it's just you should welcome it. You should be open-minded. For example, I preach about perfection because it does in fact exist. One of the things I can't stand is when somebody says, "Well, nobody's perfect." That's wrong.
Tell us about your viewpoint on perfection.
Right, that's why my subtitle for my book is Love Requires Perfection, because perfection is everything that you desire. There can be no compromise because when you compromise, you're giving up something that you truly desire, so you'll never be happy. If your partner will please you as much as you want to please them and fulfill each other's fantasies, to be each other's fantasy, to truly say, you know what, there's no possibility I could even think about cheating on you because you're everything to me. You're like 20 women in one. You're 20 men in one. That's the way we should see it because, you know, the kings, they have 100, 300 concubines, and then they have their queen. Well, the queen means nothing with all those concubines. Why do you need all those concubines? You're not in love. You're a pathetic example of what love should be. That's you're not a king, in my opinion. I'd rather be a king that is loved instead of feared because this life already has enough fear. We were already born into a life of fear and chaos. We already have enough of that. So I'd rather be a king that's loved because next to me is my soulmate, my queen. And if I treat her like a queen and she treats me like a king, we have it all. We literally have everything. There's no excuse for not living our dreams together. We have to be yes men, right? Say, yes, we can do that. Okay, what would you like, right? And then I say, okay, what would you like? Because if we don't do this, then we're holding back. And that's what I call compromise. And you're only lying to yourself. You're not being honest with your partner. And this is where people turn to, for example, pornography. I talk about it all the time on my channel, either just regular video or live stream. It's positive. It can be used as a tool for good. You can learn a lot about sex, but, you know, implement that in your own life. You know, just use it as a tool. You don't have to become obsessed with it, please. It's just a tool, just like anything. But unfortunately, people see it as they demonize it, they criticize it, and it's like, look, it's there. So why not use it to a benefit? You know, get an idea of what you like and talk to it with your partner, talk it over with your partner. It's that simple. It's just like a firearm. Well, I can go out and kill the wrong person, or I can defend somebody who's innocent. Anything could be used. You can run somebody over with the car. You can get from point A to B. Anything could be used as an evil manner or in a good manner. It's
Yeah,
always a double-edged sword.
true.
So, and just like our own speech, you know, are we going to talk about something productive or just like you said, criticizing and judging? Anybody can do that. There's already way too much of that.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, the opposite of compromise and clarity is to participate fully, and it's exactly what you're describing. And I don't know so much about it's perfection in our own perfect way, right? It's perfection of what are our needs and asking for that and finding the courage to do that and asking for what we're most aligned with, not the perfection outside of ourselves, which I think is, again, like you say, there's certain things out in the world that have been conditioned in as to what perfection is instead of us figuring out what our perfect is.
Yeah. For example, I'll just say really quickly, you see a caterpillar and it becomes a butterfly. Are you kidding me? A crawling caterpillar, never imagining that it could even, not even knowing what flying is. And then it just goes into its cocoon, which I call the learning process. And then you come out as a butterfly, never to crawl the earth again. Now you can fly as high as you want, and there's no limits, you know? And so perfection is having everything you could possibly imagine from your relationship, because in the end, this is what humans really want, both males and females. When you can look your partner in the eyes and say, you know what, I don't want anything else. It really is like Mariah Carey, all I want for Christmas is you. Because if you don't feel that way, you're not in love. Because if your partner can fulfill your every need, you're going to be 100% loyal and 100% happy for the rest of your life because at that point, time doesn't exist anymore. It's only these moments, these memories, these unforgettable memories that you're both creating together. It's so powerful. This is exactly what life is all about. And people are just missing out on it because they're rushing, they're tripping over themselves as they rush into these relationships, not knowing how to even build, because it's not love at first sight, it's attraction at first sight. Love is built between two individuals who are serious about being committed. You're talking about spending your life together, and people fear that. They're like, well, I don't know. I wanted to enjoy life by being, I want to try 31 flavors. I guarantee you that the grass is not greener on the other side. You can have a younger body, a more fit body. That's not the most important thing. You're gonna grow tired of that. It's just too much. You're spoiling yourself in the wrong way. You don't know how to really be grateful anymore. Nothing's going to mean anything anymore to you. And so to place the value on your partner, because trust me, your partner is everything. Because when you're a happy person, you don't want materialistic items anymore. Every single day you wake up and go to sleep knowing that you're going to have your soulmate once again for the next day. Every single day is a gift. When you start feeling that way, that your soulmate is the greatest gift on earth, you could not possibly want anything else. You could live without everything else. That's all I need is my partner. That's love. That's true love. There's no arguments, no negativity, no doubts, no fear. I mean, that's just the greatest gift on earth, in my humble opinion.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And it's all created from our internal pharmacy, which is that spirit, mind, body piece that you're talking about, which is so huge. And it's constantly a play of how am I feeling and how do I get to switch it? How am I feeling? How do I get to switch it? Where am I? I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose. We call it a choice point attention guide in clarity coaching because it is a choice. Every single moment of your life is a choice. And when we get to practice these tools, then life becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this conversation. How can people find you? We're going to make sure all your information's in the show notes below. What is the name of your podcast channel so that people can hop over there and find everything that you're up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I've made YouTube my home
Yes.
because
Thank you.
it's a great interface. And I have right on my main channel, you can see there's 13 more links at the very top. They used to have an about section. I'm kind of sad that they removed it. But the links are still there. So my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, and pretty much every platform. They're all up there. And also for my book, I don't know if you prefer the ebook or the printed book. Some people like to have it in their hands, and other people like to carry with them on their phone. All the ebook formats are available, and the printed version is pretty much right now on Amazon because the other stores, they didn't want me to go too low on the price. Right now, it's the craziest low price, so please take advantage of it. I'm serious about my video course that I put so much effort into. My book, also 800 hours. So it's just for $10, $9.99. I mean, that is just low for what you're actually getting for an entire lifetime. If you follow it to the letter, nothing can go wrong. But I'm not allowed to guarantee that because everybody has their own results, individual results, depending on how much effort they're willing to put into it. But I'm optimistic about it. Let's just say that, because that's something we can say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for pouring your heart into that. So the YouTube channel is called Perfect Soulmates 2023, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. So that's how you can find it if you're listening. We will include that in all of the show notes. Benjamin, thank you for your passion. Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for your time today. What a gift. I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you. It's mutual. It's a real good gift. I love podcasts with very passionate people such as yourself. Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in with us this week. We are cheering for you. We're rooting for you, and we love you. Until next week. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. One of the most generous things you could do at this moment is head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and rate and review this podcast if it touched your heart or helped you in some way. All of us here are wishing you a phenomenal day filled with love, abundance, and infinite possibilities. Until next time.